Gemini, it's Raina. I am going to be doing general readings now twice a month for the first half and second half of each month for the foreseeable future. So this particular reading is going to cover from October 1st through the 16th. And I just want to say that if you're interested in love readings, focused just on love, they will still be available. They are going to be separate readings. They always have been, but I was trying to get feedback on whether people thought I should just keep the general readings and then focus on love in those readings. And enough people wanted that special focus on love that I'm going to keep them. And I'm going to increase the general readings to twice a month instead of once a month. So for those people that would prefer more of the general readings, then you have, an extra reading a month. And so for this period, it's from the 1st through the 16th of October. The 16th of October, we actually have a full moon in Aries, and this is your 11th house, Gemini, the house of friendships, group associations, and your hopes and wishes. So a full moon can either bring an emphasis on, something coming to an end or a conclusion. So if you were working on something with a group of people, that might come to an end, or you may decide to bow out of some organization. Same thing with a friendship. Maybe a friendship has kind of, gone past its due dates for you. Maybe you just have grown in different ways and you've sustained this relationship that really isn't working for you, and that might change towards the middle of October. But also, it could be a culmination. So it could be something very positive. Maybe you've been working on making your dreams come true and something comes through that allows it to happen, It doesn't have to be an ending at all. It could be like a manifestation, as we say, and that could be very beautiful. So, we'll see what happens, right? So just speaking of going your own way, this is the overall theme. Okay, so here I just spent some time talking about how some readings are more relationship focused. Well, here is Exhibit A, Gemini, because a lot of these cards seem to be cards that are related to your emotional state and just your connection to other people. Now, I'm going to give you a scenario for those of you who don't have any kind of relationship drama going on at the moment, that this could relate to something with career, because this card that is the overall energy is the 8 of Cups, and this is a card of simply leaving a situation that no longer, connects you emotionally to it. So, anytime that you see cups, you're dealing with the water element, and it has to do with your emotional reactions or your emotional state. So the person's turning their back on that relationship, not in an angry sense, in a sense of searching their soul, in terms of wanting something more. And this could be in the workplace. This could be if you're going through the motions in a job and you just decide, I don't care. I don't care about financial security. I don't care about anything. I just have to get out of here. I just have to do it to preserve what's left of my soul. And actually, this does kind of go along with that, because in the recent past we have the Magician. So this is a card of really coming into your own power, the self-empowerment card. And knowing that you are a conscious co-creator. Here's a synchronicity or connection to that overall card. See what's above his head. That's the infinity symbol, and it is a sideways 8. And 8 is number of power, and this is the 8 of Cups. So believe that these symbols, whether it be in the form of numerical symbols and even what the energy behind the numerology is. You know, numbers have energy behind them, but even in the actual drawing of it, you know, that they could be connected. And so that, you know, the Magician card is a perfect card of somebody who takes maybe something from nothing and makes it happen. And they really have this sense of their own power, their own ability to kind of, when I said take something from nothing, I'm saying that's what magic is, isn't it? It's conjuring something up. But if you start a business, you can conjure something up on a very, you know, with very little overhead, and you all of a sudden you're making money, and you're doing exactly what you thought before that you had to depend on somebody else for. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's kind of, you know, the Magician card is the number 1 card, so it emphasizes independence. And part of, you know, magic is understanding your own freedom and your own power, your own personal power. I used to shy away from the term magic because I thought either it was just random and it was like kind of just fantasy, or I thought it was something bad, you know, because they say, oh no, you're not supposed to, you know, magic is something bad. And I thought it was manipulating the forces of nature. But really what it's doing is it's taking what's around you and kind of creating your own reality based on whatever is around you, what your talents are, what your passions are, instead of just kind of fumbling in the dark. You know, we all have these talents, and they should be our GPS system to kind of guide us on what to do that would make us happy, you know. And people kind of ignore them and say, no, I can't. Yeah, I know I'm like this great artist, but I can't do that because that doesn't make any money, and I have to be very pragmatic, and I have to do these things. And life will show them that that's true, whereas you know that there are other people who are taking those same talents and really making large sums of money, even if that is something that matters to you. But, you know, money is just kind of like reflecting the alignment with the material world. It doesn't mean that that's the most important thing. And for a lot of people, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to make a large sum of money to live well. But I'm just saying that that is what a lot of people look at as a yardstick. And so even on that level, somebody who's an artist might be doing very well because they are totally aligned. And the Magician card is about aligning yourself with what you have and making magic from it. And so this maybe it was just like a change of your mindset that allowed you to kind of leave and have the courage to leave. And in the same thing with relationships, you may have been in a relationship where you felt kind of dependent and like you couldn't leave, and then something within you changed, shifted, and you were able to see that you had more power than you knew you had. For the near future, or even in the current position, for the first couple of weeks of October, we have the Ace of Cups. So for some people, it may have been that you met somebody new that allowed you to leave the old person. I will say that if that's the situation that occurred, yes. I mean, I believe that sometimes we meet new people because the timing is right for us to shift into something. Maybe our vibration gets raised, and so we attract ourselves to somebody who is going to treat us better. You know, that can definitely happen. But you have to, I think you should always be aware of the fact that you're going from one thing to the other, so that you never stop reflecting on the lessons of the past. Because this is a very beautiful card. There's no question about it. This is an offer that is kind of touching your heart. we usually think of it as a new love, the beginning stages of a new love. But it could also be in terms of career. It could be like getting a job offer for something that really speaks to your heart, which this was the quest that you were looking for. And maybe you were going through the motions before. But it all started in the mind. It all started with the belief that you could actually attract that and that you deserve to attract it. And so that is really important that you heed what the card represents. And the Ace of Cups represents that you're being offered something on the emotional level. The question is whether you're capable at this time of really receiving it. Because, you know, for instance, we have here as the challenge position, the 10 of Swords. And this is a card that, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. This is the Morgan Greer deck. So they really, you know, emphasize this injury to the person. And it can be like, you know, the saying is being stabbed in the back. So it could be something literal, well, not literal, in terms of, specifically in terms of betrayal, you know, by another person. However, it's also possible with this challenge position that whatever has happened, you just haven't been able to kind of let it go. And the thing about it is, oh my gosh, I've been having so many trains. And I mean, so one thing about the 10 of Swords as a challenge card is that whatever has happened to you in the past, maybe it's what has made you want to leave or that you have left, you have to ask yourself, are you going to allow this to define you? You know, if somebody in the workplace betrayed you or, you know, lied to you, tried to, maybe they got a promotion that you were supposed to get. All of these injustices, they may be very upsetting, and there's no reason why a person shouldn't feel the feelings that they feel. But it's just about how long you can allow it to affect you. Because if you have beautiful things, beautiful energy coming in, like the Ace of Cups, you want to be able to recognize that so that you're not bogged down in the past. The advice is the Queen of Swords. So this is kind of like getting really powerful with your thoughts and being very like able to make decisions in a way that doesn't allow your emotions to get the best of you. This is kind of like, you know, we're talking about the Swords energy, and you are connected to the Swords because you are an air sign. So it's in your realm. And this is something that you are capable of doing. But, you know, maybe it's because Gemini is a mutable sign, and it's very, very, I don't know if you'd call it impressionable as much as influenced by outer events. You know, it tends to kind of bounce around sometimes. And I've noticed that people with prominent Gemini, whether it's in the sun or the moon position or possibly even the rising, tend to be rather high-strung individuals. And this can show up as nervous tension and can make it so that they feel a real sense of difficulty in not falling prey to anxiety at times. And this is a card of somebody who has, you know, it has that feminine principle of the Queen. So the emotions are engaged, but they're being controlled. So it's not a cold type of a mentality. It's still having your feelings intact, but having them under control because you're thinking in a logical way. You're not allowing your emotions to get the best of you. And so obviously, this is something that, you can't snap your fingers and do. You have to have yourself in the right mindset. So meditation is one of the best ways to still the mind, and also maybe disengage from outer distractions. As a Gemini, you like to talk a lot. You like to kind of exchange ideas with other people, be it in person or online, and you may be very overactive mentally. So maybe in addition to meditating, kind of disengaging from excess communication in general is a good idea, and to, really getting centered emotionally so that you are not acting out of emotion, that you're acting from a logical standpoint. And, I just want to say one more thing about that, because you may be, Geminis may be undergoing quite a mental transition in a lot of ways, and you may be thinking of things in a different way. The Magician card is really about, I think for a lot of people, it's a radically different way of looking at life, because prior to that, you may have felt like you were, being controlled by outer forces, and that life was just happening to you. And maybe now you're starting to see that you have more control over your reality than you thought you did. The Ten of Swords, that may have been when you hit bottom, so to speak, I was going to say the lowest point, where you really felt like perhaps it was the last straw of whatever the situation was. And as I say, it could be work-related. I was initially seeing it in terms of relationship, but a lot of times with the Magician card, I do think of self-actualization in a person's life in terms of their ambitions or their goals that don't necessarily involve relationships. Romantic relationships, I mean. So the outcome is the Six of Cups, and this is about getting back to a more idyllic time of life. Now, it's really interesting because I was thinking of simplifying one's life. We associate childhood with simplicity, where our lives were simple. We didn't have a lot of distractions. We were able to enjoy ourselves without having to make excuses for it, or, explanations. And in terms of personal relationships, people, children tend to not have a lot of ego defenses. This is why they are so refreshing, because they kind of just express themselves in a pure sense. And sometimes they are very, very honest in a way that is offensive to some adults when they don't like the honesty. But it's because they aren't in touch with the truth about life. And they're not afraid to say it because they haven't learned that you're not supposed to say the truth. You have to protect other people's egos. In addition to protecting your own ego, you have to protect other people's egos. And so this is about you getting back into that state of mind where you're able to relate to people in a much more innocent way, not a calculating way, not an egocentric or narcissistic way. This could actually relate to a person from your past. If you have been seeing someone, maybe this new relationship is somebody that you actually knew in high school or from your old neighborhood. Maybe you hooked up on Facebook. A lot of people are doing that, or going to class reunions. In America, it's the autumn time of year, so this tends to be when reunions happen. the class reunions, and people meet up with people that maybe they didn't even date back then, but they knew, and there's that nostalgic element, which this card is all about, and you fall in love that way. But whatever is happening, it's all about innocence. And so is this card, you know. That's like the ace is not besmirched, so to speak. It hasn't had time. It's a totally fresh start, the ace cards. So it's like the pure start of something. And in this case, it's matters of the heart. And so the outcome for you, and this could be in the next couple of weeks of October, is that perhaps either you get in touch with your childhood innocence, or you literally get in touch with somebody from your past that connects you to love feelings. Now, the other thing I was going to say is that for some of you with career concerns, maybe this is an energy that speaks of you going back and doing something that you always wanted to do when you, from the time you were little, but maybe you were discouraged from doing, or you yourself became convinced that you couldn't do it. So that could be what's happening as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this, Gemini. If you'd like a private reading, my website is below this video in a link. Otherwise, I wish you the best for the first part of October. Bye.